Just don't come, she said, like she was asking me to take out the trash. It's a high-profile night. I can't spend it answering questions about you. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't even look hurt. I smiled and told her, absolutely. Have fun. Then I used the 3 hours she spent trying to impress strangers to remove myself from her life so cleanly that there was nothing left to negotiate. The invitation wasn't for a reunion. It was for a Founders and Partners Recognition Gala, which sounded like a ceremony where people applauded each other for having expensive watches. Clara had been invited because her firm, Lighthouse Strategies, was being honored for a campaign that landed a giant client. She talked about it every day for 2 months. Not the work, not the people, the room. The room matters, she said. It's where opportunities are. I learned that in Clara's vocabulary, opportunities were people with titles who could be turned into leverage. The day of the event, our apartment turned into a dressing studio. A stylist was booked. A makeup artist came. A garment bag hung from the closet door like a black flag. Clara stood in front of the mirror wearing a champagne-colored dress that looked poured onto her. The fabric shimmered when she moved, like it was trying to flirt with the light. "Do I look like I belong?" she asked. "You look amazing," I said, and I meant it. She didn't look at me. She looked at her reflection, checking how amazing translated into status. On the bed beside me sat my suit. Plain charcoal, clean lines. It wasn't luxury. It wasn't flashy. It was the suit I bought after I got promoted to lead technician at the community college IT department. Not glamorous, stable, honest. Clara used to call that grounding. Lately, she called it limited. While Clara adjusted her earrings, she picked up her phone, scrolling through the guest list again. "Evan Rourke is coming," she said, voice tight. "Who?" "Evan. He founded a cybersecurity startup, sold it, got featured in some magazine. He'll be there with his wife. She used to be in my cohort." Clara's eyes sharpened. "People like that make you visible." I nodded like that was normal conversation. I assumed my role was simple. Go with her, hold her hand, smile, let her have her night. "So what time do we head out?" I asked. She stopped moving. The air conditioning clicked on, filling the pause with a low mechanical hum. Clara turned slowly, and her expression settled into something I recognized. Her professional empathy, the face she wore when she had to deliver bad news to someone who couldn't argue with her. "Jonah," she began. My name, spoken with the careful tone of someone choosing safe words. "I've been thinking." I waited. "It's just, this crowd is very specific. A lot of people from finance, tech, medicine, high achievers." She gestured toward the mirror like the mirror was the crowd. "They're going to ask questions. About you? About us," she corrected, then softened it. "And I don't want the night to become a conversation about you." I sat up straighter. Clara's eyes flicked to my suit. Not the fabric, the meaning she attached to it. "You're doing fine," she said quickly, like she was comforting a child. "You're smart, you work hard, but you're not in the same lane as these people." The words sounded like a GPS refusing to reroute. "I don't want to spend the whole evening explaining your job," she continued, "or why you're still not where you said you'd be." My stomach cooled in a way that was almost clinical. "And I'm not saying that to be cruel," she added, though the addition made it worse. "I'm saying it because tonight matters. I need this to go well." Then she said it, quietly, almost politely. "Please don't come. I wish I could tell you I felt rage, or heartbreak, or that dramatic movie moment where the room tilts. What I felt was clarity. Not clarity like a revelation, clarity like a diagnosis. Clara wasn't afraid I'd embarrass her by doing something wrong. She was afraid my existence would lower her perceived value in that room. I looked at her carefully. At the perfect hair, the dress, the anxious hunger behind her eyes. I saw how hard she was working to be chosen by people who didn't know her, and how easily she was willing to discard the person who did. 2 years earlier, Clara had called me her safe place. Now I was a liability. I didn't argue. Absolutely, I said. Her shoulders dropped with relief, as if a problem had solved itself. Thank you, she breathed. You're being so mature. She kissed my cheek, dry, quick, like signing paperwork. We'll do something tomorrow, she promised. Sushi, just us. It'll be better anyway. She grabbed her clutch and headed for the door. Halfway out, she turned back. And please, she said, with a little laugh, don't be weird about it. Then she left. The lock clicked. The apartment went quiet, and I finally exhaled. For a full minute, I didn't move. I just listened to the silence and realized something. The relationship had already ended. Clara just hadn't filed the paperwork yet. I didn't want a conversation. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want her to think she could negotiate my worth by offering sushi. I wanted a clean cut. I picked up my phone and called my friend Matteo. He answered with loud music in the background. Yo, aren't you getting ready for the big fancy thing? I need your van, I said. The music lowered. What's going on? She asked me not to go, I replied. Said she didn't want to explain me. I'm moving out tonight. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Matteo said, say less, I'm coming. That's why Matteo was my friend. He didn't treat my pain like entertainment. I started with the essentials: passport, documents, my laptop, the old watch my father left me. I packed like I was doing emergency evacuation, not revenge. Then I moved through the apartment, dividing objects into simple categories: mine, hers, shared, but replaceable. The couch was hers, selected for how it photographed. The coffee table was mine, something I fixed up from a thrift store because I liked how solid it was. I took the coffee table. I took my books, my tools, my desk, my guitar, my winter coat, the dumb blender I bought because Clara liked smoothies for exactly 3 weeks. I left the framed our first trip photo because it was her favorite lie. I unplugged the TV and reset it. I removed my accounts from every streaming service. I changed passwords on anything tied to my name. Not spite. Protection. When you exit quietly, you don't leave doors open for someone to follow you through. Matteo arrived with the van and 2 coffees. He looked at the half-packed living room and then at me. You okay? He asked. I'm clear, I said. He nodded slowly. That's scarier than crying. I'll cry later, I replied, surprising myself with the truth of it. Right now, I just need to finish. We worked efficiently, like movers who'd done this before. No dramatic speeches, no smashing plates, just boxes, tape, and the steady thud of a life being separated into pieces. At one point, Matteo lifted a box marked kitchen and paused. Man, he said, you sure you want to do this tonight? I looked around the stripped room. If I don't do it tonight, I'll end up negotiating my own dignity tomorrow. He didn't argue after that. When the van was nearly full, the apartment looked like a stage after the actors have left. Empty, echoing, exposed. I sat at the kitchen counter with a pen and a single sheet of paper. I didn't write a paragraph. I didn't write accusations. I didn't write poetry. I wrote what was true. Clara, you said you didn't want to explain me. Now you won't have to. I'm gone. Don't contact me. Jonah, I folded it once and placed it under her spare car key on the counter so she would have to touch the truth to move it. Then I placed my own key beside it, the final object tying me to the apartment. Matteo and I carried the last box down. The van doors shut with a dull, final sound. I looked up at the window. The living room light glowed onto an empty floor. Ready? Matteo asked. Yeah, I said. And we drove away. The first week on Matteo's couch felt like living in a blank room inside my own head. I went to work. I taught lab assistants how to troubleshoot network issues. I reset student passwords. I fixed printers. I did simple, solvable problems while my personal life sat like a locked file in the back of my mind. At night, Mateo cooked and pretended not to watch me too closely. Messages came through mutual friends first. She's confused. She's angry. She says you overreacted. I didn't respond. Silence isn't cruelty. Silence is a boundary that doesn't negotiate. On day 9, the shell cracked. Not from sadness, but from relief. I realized something I hadn't felt in months. Space. Not physical space. Mental space. No one was grading my clothing choices. No one was translating my job into something impressive enough for strangers. No one was treating my life like a resume with missing bullets. I opened my laptop and enrolled in a cybersecurity certification course I'd been postponing. Clara used to roll her eyes when I talked about it. "Is that even going to matter?" she'd ask. "Can't you just get a better job without more studying?" That night, I paid for the course with the money I'd been saving for a vacation Clara wanted because it looked iconic. The purchase confirmation felt like inhaling after holding my breath for years. About 3 weeks after the gala, I got a message from Samir, a mutual acquaintance who always spoke like he was reporting live from a disaster. "Bro," he wrote, "Clara is spiraling." I didn't ask why. I asked for facts. Samir sent them anyway. Apparently, Clara arrived at the gala alone. People asked where I was. She told them I had work obligations. Someone joked about me being mysterious. Then Evan Rourke, yes, the startup guy, asked her casually what I did. Clara froze. Samir said she laughed too loudly, then started listing vague words. Tech, systems, consulting, like she was throwing darts in the dark. Someone else, one of her colleagues, mentioned they'd seen me at the community college lab. The truth landed in the room like a dropped glass. Sharp, loud, impossible to unhear. Clara vanished into the restroom for 20 minutes. When she returned, her mascara had been repaired, but her confidence hadn't. She spent the rest of the night clinging to a group like a swimmer clinging to driftwood, smiling too hard, talking too fast. Samir ended the message with, "Honestly, it was awkward. People felt sorry for her. Not you. Her." I stared at the screen and felt nothing like victory. What I felt was confirmation. The thing Clara feared wasn't me. It was exposure. Exactly 1 month after the gala, my phone buzzed with an unknown number from her area code. "Jonah, this is ridiculous. You can't just disappear. Call me." The tone was pure Clara, authority dressed as pain. I swiped it away. The next day, "I'm sorry, I was stressed. You took it the wrong way. Come home." Then, "The apartment is empty. I can't sleep. This is cruel, cruel." She used the same word she would have used if I forgot to buy her oat milk. I didn't reply. I didn't block the number immediately. Not because I wanted drama, because I wanted to watch the pattern. When someone loses control of a narrative, they try to rewrite it in phases. Phase 1, blame you. Phase 2, minimize what they did. Phase 3, bargain. Phase 4, attack. Clara followed the script perfectly. 2 weeks later, her friend Kendra called me. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered with the same voice I use when I tell someone their account has been locked for security reasons. "Kendra?" "Oh my God, Jonah," she rushed. "Finally. You have to talk to Clara. She's not eating. She's a mess. She says you abandoned her." I said nothing. Kendra filled the silence with outrage. "Look, she said something stupid, okay? People say stuff when they're stressed. You're being cold. You're being petty." When she paused for breath, I spoke. "Kendra, I'm not discussing this, but..." She told me she didn't want to explain me, I said. Calm. So I removed myself from the situation. "That's all?" There was a stunned quiet. Then Kendra snapped, "So you're just punishing her?" "No, I replied. I'm choosing myself. And I ended the call. I blocked her number. My heart was steady. My hands didn't shake. The absence of chaos felt unfamiliar. But it also felt right. The ambush happened on a Saturday morning at the hardware store. It was the kind of place Clara hated. Too dusty, too practical, too full of men comparing drill bits like they were sports stats. I was in the paint aisle, debating between two shades of white, when I heard my name. Jonah. I turned. Clara stood at the end of the aisle, holding a basket with nothing in it, like she came only for the scene. She looked smaller, not physically, her posture. Her confidence had lost its shine. Her hair was perfect, but the effort was obvious now, like a costume worn to convince herself. Can we talk? She asked. I looked at her the way you look at a stranger who steps too close. You shouldn't be here, I said. Her eyes flickered with panic. I didn't mean it the way you took it, she insisted. You know I was under pressure. You know how my industry is. It's all optics. Optics. There it was, the religion she worshipped. She stepped closer and touched my arm, like touching me could reattach control. I need you, she whispered. You're my stability. Without you, everything feels messy. I gently removed her hand. No, I said. You needed me to make you look safe. Her face twitched, anger trying to replace shame. You think you're better than me now? She hissed. I shook my head. No, I think I'm finally free of being evaluated. Clara stared like she didn't understand the language. I picked up my paint and walked away. She called my name once more, sharper, like a command. I didn't turn. 6 months is long enough to rebuild a life if you stop bleeding energy into someone else's image. I moved into a small one-bedroom with big windows and floors that creaked like they were alive. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I finished my certification. I took a new position as a junior security analyst at a mid-sized company that valued competence more than charisma. I started going to a study group on Thursdays at a library downtown. That's where I met Paige. Paige wasn't dramatic. She wasn't impressed by titles. She had a dry sense of humor and a brain that moved fast. We talked about threat models and bad coffee and why printers were the enemy of peace. It wasn't romance at first. It was relief. Being around someone who didn't treat my existence like a liability was healing. One afternoon after study group, Paige and I went to a cafe near the library. We sat by the window, papers spread out, joking about how every cybersecurity exam question was basically choose the least wrong answer. I was laughing when I felt the shift, like the temperature in the room changed. I looked up. Clara stood near the door holding a cup she hadn't paid for yet, eyes locked on me like she'd spotted a ghost. She had the same polished look, but it didn't fit anymore, like a brand that lost its market. She walked toward us fast, determination hiding panic. Jonah, she said, voice trembling. Hi. Paige glanced at me. Friend? She asked quietly. Not anymore, I said. Clara ignored Paige completely, eyes flicking to her like Paige was an object, not a person. Can we talk? Privately? Clara asked. I didn't move. There's nothing to talk about, I replied. Her mouth tightened. The politeness cracked. So that's it? She spat. You just replace me? Paige sat still, calm, observing. She didn't need to defend herself. She wasn't the one with a fragile image. Clara's eyes flashed with accusation. You left because you had someone else. I almost smiled, not out of amusement, but at the desperation of her rewrite. No, I said softly. I left because you told me who you were. And I believed you. Clara's face went pale. I continued, not cruel, just final. My life is quiet now, peaceful. You're not part of it. I genuinely hope you find whatever you were chasing, but it has nothing to do with me. Then I turned back to Paige, picked up my notes, and said, Where were we? Oh, incident response timelines. Paige nodded and resumed the conversation like the interruption was a passing car horn. Clara stood there for a moment, searching for an opening, a crack, a reaction she could work with. There wasn't one. She walked away. I didn't watch her go. The sunlight warmed the table. The coffee tasted normal. My heart stayed steady. Paige looked up after a minute. "You okay?" she asked. I smiled. Real, easy, unforced. "Yeah," I said. "I am. Some people think love is a performance. They think partners are props. They think your value rises and falls depending on who is watching. And maybe, for a while, you play along. Maybe you shrink yourself. Maybe you let your life be translated into something more impressive. But the moment someone says they don't want to explain you, they're not asking you to stay home. They're telling you where you rank. I didn't rank myself that night. I removed myself. And the quiet that followed wasn't loneliness. It was freedom. A breakup isn't one action. It's 100 small separations. I didn't just leave the apartment. I untangled the invisible knots that keep two people glued together after love is gone. On Monday, I changed my direct deposit. On Tuesday, I removed my name from the utility auto pay. On Wednesday, I returned the library books she kept forgetting to bring back because the fines annoyed me more than the memories. I redirected mail to my new address. I updated emergency contact forms at work. I deleted shared calendars and recurring reminders. Clara's hair appointment, Clara's networking breakfast, Clara's dentist. It hit me then. I had been managing her life like an assistant, not sharing it like a partner. The strangest part was how quickly my mind started to feel quiet. Not numb. Quiet. Like a room after a loud appliance finally shuts off. Matteo noticed it first. "You're sleeping," he said one morning, surprised. Like normal sleeping. No 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling. "Yeah," I replied. "I forgot I could do that." He handed me coffee and leaned against the counter. "You miss her?" I searched myself honestly. "I miss who I thought she was," I said. "But I don't miss feeling like I'm auditioning." Matteo nodded, like that made perfect sense. "Good," he said. "Because if you ever go back, I'm charging rent for the couch and emotional damages." Silence makes some people panic. Because silence means you're not participating in their version of reality. By the second month, the rumors changed shape. At first, Clara told people I had commitment issues. Then it became, "He's going through a mental health thing." Then, he just vanished. "I'm worried he's not okay." One afternoon, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was a coworker of hers, someone I'd met once at a holiday party. "Hey, this is Ari. I know this is weird, but Clara is saying you left everything and she's afraid you're unstable. Are you okay?" I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed back, "I'm fine. Please don't be pulled into this. Take care." And I blocked the number. Not because Ari deserved it, because I didn't want to be a character in Clara's story at all. That night, I started a new rule. If it requires me to defend my sanity, it's not my conversation. It wasn't a message that did it. It was a box. Matteo's building manager knocked on the door one Saturday and held out a small package with my name on it. Inside was the charcoal suit. No note, no apology. Just the suit, folded like a return item. For a second, anger flashed through me so hot it almost made my hands shake. Not because I wanted the suit, because of what the gesture meant. Clara didn't send memories. She sent evidence. A costume she no longer needed me to wear. I carried the box to the dumpster behind the building and dropped it in. The anger didn't stay. But it finally showed me I was human again. That evening, I went for a long walk alone. I didn't listen to music. I didn't distract myself. I just let the city sounds fill the space where my thoughts used to loop. And somewhere between two streetlights, the anger turned into something cleaner. Certainty. I wasn't going back. People think closure is a conversation. Sometimes closure is a decision you make privately, then live out loudly with your actions. Clara kept trying to trigger a reaction because reactions are leverage. If I yelled, she could call me abusive. If I cried, she could call me manipulative. If I begged, she could call me weak. If I argued, she could call it complicated. Silence gave her nothing to edit. Silence doesn't create sound bites. Silence doesn't generate screenshots. Silence doesn't produce the dramatic clips people can pass around like candy. The only thing silence produced was an empty space where her control used to be. And eventually, she had to sit with that space. Alone. If this story resonated with you, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. More stories like this are coming.